Welcome to Jesus Bible Study. We are going to be in the book of Micah, chapter 7, verse 8. And this is the prophet Micah speaking. Rejoice not against me, O my enemy. When I fall, I shall arise. When I sit in darkness, the Lord shall be a light unto me. And I'm going to repeat that. Rejoice not against me, O my enemy. When I fall, I shall arise, and when I sit in darkness, the Lord shall be a light unto me. Each of us feels as though the whole world is against us, especially during certain seasons of our life. Perhaps we fail a job interview, make a financial mistake, or unintentionally hurt a loved one. But nothing seems to be going our way, especially if we have planned it. We begin to think that we have disappointed everyone and are left feeling like a total failure. This imperfect world causes many plans to go astray. But we must remember that the Lord is on our side, and He wants nothing but the best for us, and is present at any time that we make mistakes. Through faith and His steadfast love, we will be victorious. We got to keep trying. We got to put our trust and our faith in the Lord. It says that throughout all the scriptures, trust me, for I am Lord. Trust in me. I will not fail you. These mistakes, these bad things that we go through, simple, modern, everyday ones, or even horrific ones. The loss of things, the loss of our family members, tragic ones, of the self-destroying from addictions. God is with us all. But see, the devil, he doesn't want you to believe that God's with you. He wants you to think that you was all alone through those times. And because you live in that negativity of self-hate, you can't hear God's words of encouragement, God's words of loveliness. But what you do hear is the devil and his little minions that sit on our shoulders and whisper doubt, whisper fear, whisper hate, confusion into our ears, so it travels into our minds, so that we hear those words versus the words of God. Instead of saying, it's going to be okay, God's got this. It's going to be okay because I have God in my heart. I trust that this will work itself out. Instead, it makes us dwell in our self-hatred. Could you imagine what was going through Judas Iscariot's head after he betrayed Jesus? Because it clearly says in the scriptures that Satan entered him and made him betray. It was because of his greed and his anger that Satan was able to enter into him. And how do we know this? Well, it says in the scriptures, just days before, when Mary went to anoint Jesus' feet. And this is Mary, Martha's sister, Lazarus' sister. There's so many Marys in the book that people just like to quote and just say that all the Marys was Mary Magdalene. And it's just not so true. And that's why they like to say that. They even like to say that Mary Magdalene was the prostitute that got caught in adultery. They put in all the movies that she was the adulteress, and it was not so. It is not so. Not once did it say that Mary played the harlot or that she was a whore. It said she was possessed by demons. That was it. The person who played a harlot was simply just a person being a whore, playing the harlot, being an adulteress. That had nothing to do with being possessed by demons. In fact, if you was possessed by demons, then you would be crazy. And as we see in the scriptures, most people didn't go around those people who was possessed by demons. And she had 7 of them in her. It clearly shows in the Bible that most people try to chain those people up. So she must have been left alone. Must have been chained up, possessed. People avoided her. So it clearly doesn't make sense. Even Mary, the mother of Jesus, had a sister named Mary. The sons of thunders, their mom's name was Mary. So we got to make sure we read these Bibles and we read these scriptures for ourselves. Because a lot of people are just not getting the whole story. And just because they see that one particular name Mary, they just mean it all. Jesus even had a brother named Judas. But he wasn't the one who betrayed him. But could you imagine what Judas went through? Because days before, when he was mad about the oil, he was mad. He was like thinking that if he was to sell that for money, it would have been in his change because he was in charge of the money, that he was able to do with whatever he wanted to. And Jesus called him out on it and said, no, you will always have the poor. And probably said it with attitude enough for to get him. He called him out in the words that only Judas understood, that none of the other disciples did, because Jesus knew he was robbing them. The other disciples did not know that Judas was robbing them. But making that comment, it was understood and it was implied. That it made him angry. So now he was filled with anger. He didn't get the money. And because that was in his heart, Satan was then able to enter into him because of that anger and that greed. Now, you know, after he had done betrayed him, you know, the devil left because he can't be everywhere at the same time. He's not God. So he had to have left him. Why? Because he wanted to be around when Jesus was going to get so-called crucified and all that stuff like that. So he had to leave him because he couldn't be in 2 places at once. He can't be inside one person and then try to be over for that. So when the devil left him, and Satan left his body, could you imagine what was going through his mind? The unforgiveness of what he has done. The self-hate. And that's why he did what he did. He could no longer bear all what he had did to God, knowing that he had betrayed Jesus. And for what? Just 30 pieces of silver? The enemy will make you do so many things, and he just loves to just be whispering into your mind. But we got to remember who we are. We got to be in joy. We got to rejoice through our hardships. We got to be thankful that no matter what we're going through, we got to give thanks. We got to stay in the positivity so that we can remember and we can hear God's words. We're staying in that doubt and that fear. We're only paying attention to one person's words, and it's not God's. That's going to almost make it impossible for us to get out. So therefore, we got to remember who we are and what authority we have and what power we have over the enemy to silence him. So we can say, rejoice not against me, O my enemy, when I fall, because I will rise. My Lord is my light in this darkness that you're trying to cast over me and try to make me stay in. And that's exactly what this verse is referring to. You got to find gladness and goodness in everything that's going on in our life, whether it's good or bad, especially when it's more bad. We want to remember who we are. We want to remember what God is telling us. We want to hear his words. It is more important to hear his words than the enemy's. And the enemy will cloud your mind. He's really good at entering those stupid things into your ear. So that's all you will hear. And it will fill your mind with doubt and fear to keep you from God and his voice.